In this 2001 animated feature by noted Japanese director Hayao Miyazaki, we follow a young girl by the name of Chihiro. Chihiro gets lost in the spirit world and has to rescue her parents who have been turned into pigs. During her adventure, she meets many different creatures, both human-shaped and animal-like. The story is very emotional. Chihiro, a 10-year-old girl, sulks in the back seat of her parents' car. The family is on its way to a new home in a new town, and Chihiro doesn't want to move. Her mother points out Chihiro's new school as they are driving past it. Being already upset with moving to a new place, Chihiro says that she liked her old school better. Her father gets lost taking a shortcut. Driving through a forest road, Chihiro sees little house-shaped rocks, and her mother explains that people believe these to be the homes of the spirits. Her father speeds up the bumpy forest road and nearly hits a stone statue. They come out of the car to look around and discover the entrance to an abandoned theme park. Her father explains that these were built all over the country back in the early 90s, but most of them went bankrupt when the economy went bad. As they walk on a grass field, they start to feel hungry. They cross a river when suddenly they smell food and the parents investigate, finding a large deserted stall piled with food. They start eating and soon they're both pigging out. They try to make Chihiro eat, but she has a bad feeling about it and refuses the food. Chihiro wanders away by herself. While she explores, a boy appears and warns her to leave before dark. She runs back to the stall, only to find that her parents have turned into pigs. As night falls, shadowy spirits fill the park, and Chihiro starts becoming transparent. The boy appears again and tells her to eat food from the spirit world which will keep her from disappearing. He then leads her to a busy bathhouse, negotiating her safely through a phalanx of spirits who aren't happy about having a human among them. The boy tells her to hold her breath as they cross the bridge so the spirits can't see her, but as they run in, a frog spirit named Aogairu greets the boy. Aogairu asks him where he has been. Chihiro, unable to hold her breath any longer, inhales, and Aogairu sees her and raises the alarm. The boy and Chihiro escape into some bushes and hide. After getting her to safety, the boy explains to her that in order to survive in the spirit world, she needs a job. He gives her detailed instructions on how to get to Kamaji, the boiler man, and explains that she needs to insist on him giving her a job, as he might refuse the first time around. He says his name is Haku, and that he has known her since she was very small. Chihiro makes her way down a long, steep staircase and navigates to the door Haku had described. She sneaks in and finds the boiler man. She asks for a job, but despite her perseverance, Kamaji tells her that the enchanted soot creatures provide him with all the help he needs. As they talk, Chihiro notices one of the soot creatures struggling with the weight of the coal piece it is carrying. The creature collapses under it. Chihiro rescues the soot creature and finishes its task. Suddenly, a girl named Lin arrives and is shocked to discover the human everyone is looking for. Impressed with Chihiro's tenacity and kindness, Kamaji lies and tells Lin that Chihiro is his granddaughter. He bribes Lin to take Chihiro to Yubaba, the witch who runs the bathhouse, to ask for a job. Yubaba initially refuses, but gives in when Chihiro persists and curses the oath she had taken to give a job to anyone who asked. After Chihiro signs a contract for the job, Yubaba steals several of the characters that make up Chihiro's name, renaming her Sen. Haku then leads Sen to the bathhouse to be placed on a job, but no one wants her, so she is dumped onto Lin, who seems to be upset about it, but later in private congratulates Sen on getting the job and says she didn't think Sen could make it since she is such a dope. They head up to the worker's bedroom where Lin gives Sen new clothes and shows her where she will be sleeping. The next morning, Haku takes Sen to see her pig parents, who no longer remember they were once human. Sen tries to call out to them and tells them she is going to rescue them no matter what, and runs off. She tries to remember her real name and almost can't. Haku gives her the card that had been with her clothes. She reads it and remembers her name to be Chihiro. Haku warns Sen that he no longer remembers who he used to be and that if she forgets, she'll never be able to get home. Haku offers her some food that he had put a spell on so she could regain her strength. Sen is reluctant to take it at first, but eats it anyway as she is crying about her parents being pigs. Returning to the bathhouse, Sen looks back and sees a white dragon in the air. She knows the dragon is Haku. Sen's first day at her new job is hard. She has to scrub floors and clean the tubs where customers of the bathhouse come to bathe. While she is emptying a bowl of dirty water from the back door, she encounters a silent, white-faced spirit called No-Face, for whom she kindly leaves the door open. Lin and Sen are given the job of cleaning the biggest tub in the house. When Sen goes to ask for tokens, she is refused, but No-Face appears and hands her one anyway. Lin teaches her how to use tokens. As Lin leaves the room, No-Face shows up again and gives Sen a handful of tokens for the bath. Yubaba senses someone walking through the town and makes her way to the lobby. There is commotion because a stink spirit is making its way to the bathhouse. Sen is given the job of cleaning the spirit and taking care of it. Using the tokens she received earlier and with everyone's help, she gets the stink spirit clean. But it turns out to be a polluted river spirit. The river spirit rewards her job well done with a magic herbal cake. No-Face becomes obsessed with getting Sen's attention. The next day, Sen awakens to find everyone gone, and No-Face, who has gained a voice by eating Aogairu, the frog spirit, is causing an uproar by creating gold out of thin air. Now everybody in the bathhouse is sucking up to the spirit to serve its every need to get some of the gold for themselves. No-Face tries to give Sen a handful of it, but she refuses by saying she is in a hurry and runs off to go find Haku. Angered by her refusal, No-Face starts swallowing the staff and causing a panic. Outside of the bathhouse, Sen sees the white dragon being attacked by birds. She opens a door for him and he flies through, followed by the birds, which turn out to be made of paper. In agony, Haku flies to Yubaba's rooms on the upper level. Knowing he'll bleed to death without help, Sen runs to find him. One of the paper birds hides on her back. Arriving at Yubaba's quarters, Sen finds Haku unconscious and the three heads are pushing him towards a deep hole in the floor. Sen runs to Haku and tries to wake him. The paper bird that has been hiding on Sen's back seems to turn into Yubaba, but actually it's her twin sister Zeniba, who had followed Haku because he stole her gold seal with great magical powers. Disgusted by Bo, Yubaba's giant baby, Zeniba turns him into a small mouse and turns Yubaba's pet bird into a fly. Then looking around to see what else she can mess with, she sees the three heads jumping around and turns them into Yubaba's baby. Thrashing around, Haku smashes the paper bird and Zeniba disappears. Haku and Sen fall down the dark shaft into the boiler room where Kamaji tells Sen that Haku is bleeding from the inside, so Sen gives Haku part of the herbal cake the river spirit gave her. Haku vomits up the gold seal and a slug. Sen squashes the slug as it's trying to escape. Haku then turns back to his boy form, but he is still very ill. Sen decides to go to Zeniba in an attempt to convince her to cure Haku by returning the seal and apologizing to her. Kamaji gives Sen train tickets to get to Zeniba, and explains that the train once used to go both ways, but now she'll have to make her way back on her own. On her way back to the train, Sen confronts No-Face, who is still terrorizing the bathhouse. She gives him the rest of the herbal cake that she's been saving for her parents. He begins to vomit and becomes angry at Sen, chasing her through the bathhouse. As he runs, he vomits up all the people and things he's eaten, getting smaller and smaller until he's back to his normal size and meek demeanor. When Sen exits the bathhouse, Lin is already waiting for her in a small boat to take her across the water to the train tracks. No-Face, now back to its normal size, follows her. Sen, the bow mouse, the Yubaba fly, and No-Face leave together for the train. As the group makes its way to Zeniba's, Haku recovers. He leaves the group and goes back to Yubaba. He makes note that Yubaba still hadn't noticed something precious to her had been changed, and Yubaba takes a look at the baby who is gobbling down food at the other side of the room. The baby turns back into the three heads, who leave the room. Infuriated, Yubaba demands an explanation. Haku tells her what had happened, promising to return Bo to her if Yubaba will send Sen and her parents back to their world. Yubaba agrees, but wants to give Sen a final test. If she passes it, she can leave with her parents, but she gets to keep her and her name if she fails. When Sen arrives at Zeniba's, she asks Zeniba to forgive Haku for stealing the seal and returns it. She apologizes for killing the slug. Zeniba starts laughing and explains that Yubaba put the slug in Haku to control him, and that Sen has already healed Haku with her love. Zeniba asks Sen to call her grandma. They have some tea, and No-Face spins thread with Zeniba, who tells him that he is very good at it. Haku arrives in his dragon form. Sen is happy to see him better and climbs on his back so he can fly her, the bow mouse, and the Yubaba fly back to the bathhouse. She says goodbye to Zeniba and tells her that her real name is Chihiro. As they are flying back toward the bathhouse, Sen remembers that when she was very young, she fell into a river and lost her pink shoe. Instead of allowing her to drown, the river carried her to safety. She had forgotten the river's name, but now remembers that it was called the Kohaku River. Sen tells Haku she thinks he was the river, and that Kohaku River is his real name. Upon hearing his true name, Haku's dragon scales fall away and he turns back into his boy shape. They arrive at the bathhouse, and Haku reminds Yubaba she promised to free Sen and her parents. Yubaba says Sen must first pass a test. There is an uproar from the spirits watching, but Sen steps up to the challenge. Yubaba pulls out the contract Sen had signed and promises to free her if she can identify her parents from a group of pigs. Sen looks over the pigs and declares that something must be wrong, that none of them are her parents. Her contract dissolves and she once again becomes Chihiro. Free at last, Yubaba is disappointed, but all the spirits gathered to witness the event cheer for her. Haku then takes her back to the river she had crossed with her parents earlier and they say goodbye. Chihiro finds her parents. They make their way back to the car that they find in a bush near the entrance where they had left it. Chihiro's mom wants to get to their new house before the movers get there. As they drive away, her mom asks if she is scared about going to a new school. Chihiro assures her that she can handle it, and they drive off, back the way they had come from. Spirited Away is an emotional story about love and kindness being far more important than greed and hate. It shows us that the determination to help someone else can also help you in your journey. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment down below.